Hi. Okay, it is March 11th, 2025, Tuesday. The time is in the afternoon here. It's like 12 something? Maybe it's 1 o'clock. Listen, I can't be held accountable for timestamps. The phone is going to do it. So today I want to talk about what's happening transit-wise right now, the month of March 2025, and right now in this moment, what's going on is Mercury and Venus are together. Venus is retrograding into Mercury, and Mercury is going towards Venus. Retrograde Venus in Aries, Mercury in Aries, both at 9 degrees. Okay? 9 degrees of Aries. Wherever that is in your chart, house-wise, is going to be the arena where the action is taking place. I highly recommend this book. It is called Predictive Astrology, The Eagle and the Lark, Bernadette Brady. I mean, if you're in a position where you're trying to build your astrological library or you have extra money to spend on books, you know, I think books are a great investment right now. I think always, but I've been studying astrology since 2007, so I have a pretty good astrological library of physical books. But you would be freaking shocked, like how, like some of these books are you know, really hard to come by these days, and they are expensive. Like, for example, anyway, I don't want to get into it. I think you can still purchase this one pretty easily online. It's not out of print or anything. But so she has, I use this as a reference book every time that there's an eclipse, because she has in here the listing of all the eclipses, Saros series, and they're like the flavor of whatever little Saros series is going to give. If you don't know what that means, it's like every eclipse belongs to a certain family of eclipses, and that family is related to the Saros, Saros series, and they also relate to certain like years. Like, so for this eclipse that's coming up on both the two eclipses that are going to be happening in March, the one that is the 15th, I believe. Oh, let me just look instead of just, okay, so 2025. So she has like this nice appendix here so you can look up, okay, when's this eclipse is going to be happening. Oh, March 29th at 9 degrees of Aries, 2025, and then also March 14th at 24 degrees of Virgo. They're both in the Saros of 9 New North. So let's look it up. Sometimes I'm scared to do this. Okay. All right, yeah. Saros series 9 New North. Okay, the aspects are a Venus-Mercury conjunction is on the Mars-Pluto midpoint, and Mars is on the Uranus-Pluto midpoint. Okay, this is a very physically expressive Saros series. Accidents, great physical effort, violence, or any sudden physical events. These can be experienced positively, as for example, the first time snow skiing, or it can be felt negatively in terms of accidents and so on. The approach to take when this series is affecting a chart is not to hide away, but to undertake some physical activity with an ever watchful eye to safety. Okay, so this is 2025 eclipses, periods. Other eclipses that have happened at this time was in 2007, 1989, 1971, 1953, 1935, 1917, and next time it'll be 2043. All right, so that's part of the flavor of the eclipses. Now, The whole reason why I got this book out in the first place was to talk about the other thing that's in here, which is the transit grids. So working with transits, she has this whole section. This is so brilliant, where she talks about how to make a transit grid, basically. And I've used this so much, but I always have to reference the book. This book you need to get if you want to use this technique. And she's so great. So, like, all right, you want to know, what does it mean if, like, a planet is transiting in an aspect to a natal planet, or whatever. So, let's say we have Pluto here. This is an example from the book. Pluto squaring the moon. Now, I was going to try to use the example of Mercury and Venus, whatever, but natal house location, transit house location, and the houses ruled by the planets are the three different pieces of information that we have to take into account when we're looking at where the transit is going to be activating. So when Venus and Mercury are conjuncting right now, the house that the location of the transit is happening, Aries for you, wherever that is going to be one piece of the puzzle. Also, natal locations of both Mercury and Venus in your chart. Also, the third one, houses ruled by Mercury and Venus. So all of these this is going to be a lot of houses involved now. So we've got, for me, let's just use me for example. Mercury and Venus are conjunct in Aries, which is my 8th house on my Virgo rising. So the matters of the 8th house are involved. Then, where are those planets for me natally? Where's Mercury and where's Venus natally? This doesn't even really count because this isn't even affecting a natal planet, but let's just keep going. The transit house location, the natal house location. Okay, so actually the order is natal house location, transit house location. So natal house location for me for Mercury and Venus is Mercury's in the 10th, Venus is in the 12th. Then we have transit house location, the 8th. Then we have houses ruled by the planets. For me, I'm Mercury ruled, so Virgo rising, so 1 and 10, and 2 and 9 are my Venus ruled houses. Okay. Now, what is this all about? What is this about? So then we look at, so those are the areas of the life. What goes on in the first row shows, this is what's really important. This is so good. When you get this, when you figure this out, you'll always want to look at this for your transits. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, the houses, the spaces where things happen. At different times in your life, events will occur which are the results of a previous situation. These previous situations came from a totally different area of your life. In addition, these events will be dealt with and then will cause repercussions in yet another area of life. It is the very nature of any event that it will start in a particular place or area in your life, be dealt with in a second area, and have consequences in a third. Cause, action, effect. All events will have a cause, which will lead to some type of action, which will then affect something else. Since the world of transits is concerned with the world of events, all events will therefore have a cause, which will then manifest in a place in the person's life, and then have an effect in another place. There are 3 phases to any event or transit. An origin, its cause. First, you have the beginnings of the situation. Because of these events, other events described by the transit are going to occur. The event itself. Then you have the main theme of the transit. 3, the consequences of the event. Last, you have the outcome, which is affected by the event and the result of the event. For example, your friend may borrow your car, leaving you with no transportation, and as a result, you're late for work. The areas of your life being emphasized, therefore, are friends, transportation, and work. The lack of transportation is the middle issue, which seems the immediate problem. But the problem starts with the friend borrowing the car, and the consequences result when you're late for work. So events are not abstract. They need a stage on which to perform, and they need to manifest in tangible areas of life. If a friend comes up to you and says, I love, you would answer, you love whom? What? How? Similarly, if you were looking at transiting Pluto square Mars, you would know that the person was going to encounter some emotional events, but where would these strong feelings be experienced? Who, what, and how are the natural questions that have to be answered. When predicting an event for a client, the areas of the life with which the themes are going to be involved become a major part of the prediction. The houses in the chart are the components of the astrological alphabet which define places, locations, and so on. Therefore, if we involve the houses in our predictive work, we will be able to define the areas of concern for the client, as well as the areas affected by the event's consequences. Okay, so the cause is the top row. The natal positions of the planets involved in the transit. That's the cause, the natal chart. The action is the middle row. The houses where the transiting planet's moving. So for everybody, wherever you have Aries in this example. And the effect, the bottom row, the houses ruled in the natal chart by the planets involved in the transit. So that's where the effect plays out. These boundaries of beginning, middle, and consequences, as defined by the rows, are a rule of thumb, and flexibility should be allowed when working with them. At times, it is possible for events to seem to affect all areas indicated at once. This is such a good technique. If you start to use it, you're really going to love it. And if you have questions and you don't really understand, A, get this book, and B, let me know, and I'll try to do my best to help.